Aparad lingers. You follow the difference? The reactions are more intricate, deeper, deeply rooted. So for instance, let's go back to that list of Seva Aparad. You don't go, you neglect, you overlook a particular festival, go Punim, Janmashtami. It's a parad. It's a parad. You don't pay obeisances. I always get on the case of my son. He's just shooting through the temple room, half second in, out the other day, out the other door. I told him, no, it's not a recreation hall. You pay obeisances. It doesn't click. You, obviously, you have taken prashad. We know it's basic rules. You clean your feet. You cannot go in the temple room. Clean your feet, your mouth. Offering respect with one hand. That's also technically wrong. Both hands. If you can do parikrama of the Shingasan, it's good. I don't know, certain temples like in Umayapur, you cannot do that. You can do parikrama of the chateau. There's a whole chateau, yes, but you cannot do parikrama of the temple. It is built in such a way. There's no way. It's good to do that. Spreading the legs. Sometimes you have your legs are a bit stiff. You cannot spread the leg. If you want to spread your leg, not towards the deities. Now it says here, Rupa Goswami, sitting in Virasanan. What is Virasan? Virasan, Vignesh, it must be like a particular asan. It's quoted in 4638. Let's find it out. Virasana-san.
Yeah.
What is
halo pose?
46. Which one? Which asan is that?
It's like we put our both the legs back, we just put our entire weight on those two legs and keep the foot on the back side.
Okay.
It's like on the kneel. We put the entire weight on the kneel and put the leg on the back.
Oh, I see. So Padmasana is good. It's mentioned, yeah, you're right, actually, 4638. Prabhupada explained, there's Virasan, Padmasan, Siddhasan. So Virasana is prohibited. It's interesting, huh? Mm. But not the other. Padmasana is fine. So it's good to know. I didn't know that point. Padmasana, I do. Virasana, I think from what you're saying, Vignesh, it's a bit different with the heels behind. Okay, it's not proper. Lying down. I've seen in some temples, they use the temple room at night to sleep. This is a paran. I've seen that with my own eyes. I forgot which temples. They were kind of short in space.
Yeah.
This is not good.
Yeah.
You please add up in case any one of you wants to add up stuff. Eating. I've seen that also. I'm sorry to say. I've seen the temple room used, perhaps not when the deities are open, but I've seen the temple room be used as a Parshanam hall.
Sometimes we don't have space, in the building.
No, I fully agree. I'm not passing judgment.
Yeah, even the temple I was staying during winter time, they used to close the curtain, but they serve prasadam inside the temple room.
Yeah, I mean, at least closing the murti is kind of okay.
Yeah, not in front of the other deities.
Lying, you lie to someone in front of the deities, that's heavy. That's very heavy. There's another shlok. Bhumi can take everything except a lie. She cannot bear a lie. What to speak in front of the deity? So in the days of yore, Srila Prabhupada says, when they had to settle a disagreement, they would come in front of the deities. Because each of the party knew I cannot afford to lie to the deity. I'm finished. So that was the norm. Speaking loud, you don't speak loud. That's why always I keep the boys out, because it's not a recreational area. Gossiping, talking about business or the latest movie or tennis or whatever. Crying. See, that's oftentimes I've seen women crying. It's not proper. It's apparent.
Prabhu, I have one question on this. Like I have seen like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would normally, when he used to go to temple,
Yeah.
he would like shed tears, in front of a deity,
Yeah.
and out of intense emotion.
Yeah, that's fine. But I'm talking about mundane crying.
So it's very difficult, right, to just by observing the person, whether it is mundane
Yeah,
or
that's
whether it
that's
is
a very
out
good
of
point. But you,
emotion.
as the crier, if you are the crier,
Yeah,
you should filter yourself. You should
yeah,
filter.
that's true.
Oh, I'm crying because my guru blasted me yesterday. I cannot bear. Or I had a fight with my husband. I'm crying. Better you cry. Not saying you should not cry, but cry elsewhere. Now, if you cry for Krishna, it's fine. That's
Okay.
that's a plus. That's a plus. Quarreling. I've seen that. Quarreling in front of the deity. You're still there, Goloka?
I've seen that also. About the
Well,
crying thing, I have a question.
yeah, go ahead.
The crying, sometimes, people cannot control the emotion. When they see Krishna, they think that,
That's
okay.
fine. That's fine. Just like
Let's
Vignesh was
say
saying.
if they have a problem, immediately, they can't help it,
No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm saying crying for mundane reasons.
Yeah.
You had I've seen women crying, I mean, of course,
Taking shelter of Krishna, thinking that Krishna, you everything, and you know everything, and you can use only one, like asking Krishna to help them. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, if you cry, if it's connected to Krishna, I can definitely understand, Yeah, like you are going through a rough patch of your life and you are utterly despondent. And it's an act of surrender. Krishna, I'm severely tested. Please bear with me. I'm going through a heavy patch, as you know. You are in my heart. I cannot take it. It's beyond me. That's kind of okay, because it's sambandha gyan, it's within you are building your relationship with Krishna. You are progressively paving the way towards building your relationship with Krishna. So that's part of it. It's fine. Quarreling, fighting, that's, of course, it goes without saying. That's heavy stuff. It's not pap, it's aparad. Huh? Keep in mind, we're talking about aparad, seva aparad here. It's more heavy than pap. Gogam Maharaj is quite emphatic on this. There's a clear distinction between pap and aparad. Aparad is much worse. Again, aparad, nam aparad, seva aparad, Vaishnava aparad, Jiva aparad. Thanking others. Like recently we had the marathon, festival after the book distribution marathon. Yes, fine, but not in front of the deities. No.
We do that all the time because we thank the people for donating, for sponsoring the Sunday fees, for helping.
This is Rupa Goswami's 16th century, yeah.
And why we don't follow that?
Then you should tell UTP, my dear sir, page 156.
I think it all depends on how the temple has been designed. That also matters a lot. Like if people are just to sponsor, it should be kept in a separate room or some separate zone, not directly in front of the deity.
Yeah, it's like paying obeisances in front of the deities is not proper. I remember very clearly, by Krishna's grace, I was 6 months at least, 97. I was trained as a pujari in Mayapur, you know, with one devotee. No, I think he's in Chicago. And of course, the big guru. I mean, the big guru was Jananivas Prabhu. Jananivas Prabhu used to tell us, don't even offer obeisances when the deities are closed. Can you imagine? I remember very clearly. He told us because he's doing something else. I remember very clearly. You offer obeisances when the deities are open. So paying obeisances it's not mentioned here, but I know it's an offense. Except Guru. Yes, it's fine. But you can mark, you can nod your head in respect, you know, yes, Prabhu, Dandavat. You can join your palms, but you cannot offer technically obeisances to someone except your Guru if the deities are open. You follow, Goloka? You contradict me if you don't agree, huh? Don't feel free.
No, I know. It's just a thanking thing keep on going on all the time.
Yeah,
Since I
because
know.
we are a bit nonsensical, you know, we're not sensitive enough. Prabhu is not so important. Well, it's mentioned by Rup Goswami. What should I do? Should I scratch the line? Saying cruel words in front of the deity? Of course not. Cruel words, you know, you're telling a cruel story to someone else in front of the deities, forget it. You just step out. Covering yourself with a blanket, that's nonsense. Criticizing others, it goes without saying. Praising others, that's a good one. You don't praise others in front of the deities. You want to praise the Sankirtan devotees, we did it recently. You close the curtain, it's fine. Using vulgar language, plus passing air, offering less items when capable of offering more. I've seen that also. You make a pledge in front of the deity, you know, financial pledge, and you don't respect that. That's heavy, 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 heavy. You know, you make a pledge and 6 months are passing by and the TP, oh yes, Prabhu, yes, thank you. I'll give less finally. That's Sapanan. Finally, I'll give less. Oh, Prabhu, finally I cannot give. I'm sorry. That's heavy. That's heavy. You will have a consequence. Or again, it's more subtle here. 24, offering less items when capable of offering more. Krishna knows. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say, it's not what you give, it's what you hold back.
Yeah.
Eating food. Yes, go ahead.
I just like thinking about this 24th item. Like this is quite common. Like many of the people today say, you know, why are you spending so much on the temple worship and deity worship? You know, there are a lot of beggars and a lot of poor people who are there. You can just help them out, which is like a kind of service to God. And in that way, they try to rationalize. You know, you shouldn't spend more on deity worship, even if you are even if you have money to do, and rather divert that money on some other human cause,
Okay.
some other kind of philanthropic cause. And I think this is kind of offense as well, right, which falls under this 24th item.
So how do you tackle with that?
Yeah, so basically,
philosophically.
yeah, so normally like India, at least as far as ISKCON temple is concerned, it doesn't happen much because a lot of things are planned in such a way that we don't waste. We distribute prasadam to even the poor people after offering it to the Lord, and whatever things we like offer to the Lord, we distribute that. So in that sense, ISKCON is quite well placed, I suppose. But I think for some other smaller temples, it doesn't happen usually in India. Many of the smaller temples which are there. So there are a lot of things which doesn't is not properly managed. So I think that is where most of the people talk about, in terms of a lot of things are going into waste,
Yeah.
and better to give that to some poor people like that.
So in the Sri Upanishad, Srila Prabhupada is very emphatic. There's a clear difference between Madhav Seva and Manav Seva. What is the difference? People tend to equate the two in their poor font of knowledge. They tend to equate the two. Madhav Seva, yes. Manav means humanity, mankind. Same. No. What is the difference? This is quite impersonalistic as an approach. It's called pantheisms. God has spread himself so thin that is pervading his creation and mankind, so much so that he has no more individual identity. This is pantheisms, So this is actually it's pap, it's aparad, it's sometimes of vibrama. That's another type of slow back in spiritual life. Tattva vibrama. There's different types of vibrama. I sent you the sheet, right?
Yeah.
You entertain vibrama. Vibrama means misunderstanding on the identity of God. That's vibrama. No.
That's often that equate the people with the God. Like, in India, at least in politics, there are a lot of things. There's a term called Janta Janardhan,
Exactly.
Janta Janardhan means they equate that Janardhan, Lord Janardhan, with Janta, the people, the public.
Even
And that's
Gandhi,
how they address people.
Even Gandhi fell into the trap. Nothing new.
Yeah.
So, no, we have to draw a clear distinction. Yes, we are, Bhaktivinoda Thakur called that pratibimba. Pratibimba means bimba, pratibimba. He calls that reflection. We could say, he goes that far to say, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that yes, we have reflection of God, yes, but we're not God. So it's not by serving mankind. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is even more emphatic. Better to channel Krishna even than offering millions of hospitals. People will be up in arms if you say that on TV. They'll be up in arms. Yes. Chanting Hare Krishna, it is the root cause. You are addressing the root cause. What is the verse of Narad in the fourth canto? Yato talo nila, yata talo nisheshanena, trepyanti. If you water the root with water, all the twigs and branches and flowers and all will benefit.
Yeah.
They can't get it right. So, without eating food, without offering it, that's, of course, it's a very important point. Not offering seasonal fruits is interesting. You are.
Prabhu, I had one question on this aspect of,
yes.
Like, normally we don't offer onion, garlic to Lord, right? That cannot be offered.
It cannot be
But
accepted also.
Yeah, it cannot be accepted. That is true. But in a house where it is not possible, like say a family eats onion, garlic, and they prepare it. So what can be done? Is it possible to mentally offer, or is it not possible to offer it at all?
What we do here, because we also Grihastha, we don't live in the temple. I mean, I go to the temple, but I don't live there. So my wife, she knows, what she does is, of course, there's different demarcations. There's home worship. That's like I've got my home worship.
Yeah.
So, and number one, number two, I mean, I should say even higher than home worship, you find the temple worship, which is of a higher adhikar. It's a higher eligibility. It's a higher level of worship by all means. So it's definitely, you have to be very strict with that. No onion, no garlic, no mushrooms. You have seen in Puri, even they go much further than that. In Puri, there's 4 things we don't offer, even though they're quite apparently plain and okay. Brinjal, chili, tomatoes, and
Yeah.
what else? Four things. Because they say it's not Indian, it was imported to India. Brinjal, chili, tomatoes, and aloo. They don't.
Brinjal I have heard. I think it is mentioned in Hari Bhakti Vilas. Ki Brinjal cannot be offered.
Yeah,
I think it's mentioned.
they say it was imported by the Videshis.
Okay.
Aloo was imported by the Brits, actually. Aloo was originally in Ireland. Anyway, in Puri, they're quite orthodox. They don't accept. So to answer your query, what I do, I mean, sometimes I have arguments with my wife on this. I tell her you don't offer to the deities. You offer Manasa. She has a picture downstairs in the kitchen. And like I know, she's gonna sometimes, you buy something, it's mentioned in France, some traces of garlic and stuff, some traces of onions. So
Yeah.
she's not so fanatical, my wife, and I tell her, okay, but you don't offer. You offer to your to offer to your picture downstairs in the kitchen.
Okay.
But better to offer than not to offer, because Yagyashishtoshino chante, mu chante savakil bishe, bungyate tidvakam papam, ye pachantatma karanat. 313. If you don't offer, it's pap. It's,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you eating pap at each mouthful. So better to offer, but you don't offer to the deities. That's ideally someone who is very strict will say, Prabhu, don't even buy it in the first place. But I don't know about India, but in France, especially France, no one gives a damn. There's 2% vegetarian here. You understand? 2%. This is the less country. This is the less vegetarian country on earth, France, practically, with Argentina. So practically, they put eggs everywhere. Practically everywhere. Even in the cheese, they put. It's called rennet. You know, rennet. It comes from the stomach of the calf. Can you imagine these rascals? They put rennet practically in all the cheese except a few. So it's. I mean, some people are. I know some people are even in France.
And they had vitamin D in the milk.
Yeah. I've got the list. I mean, I've got the list on my window shield in my car. I mean, if you can even go to the additives also. If you want to be more strict, you go through the additives. I mean, it's endless. They reported the point to Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, because they were saying even in those days there were fish they would put fish additives in the milk. Can you imagine? Prabhupada said, even in the toothpaste, I remember Prabhupada said, well, I know. It is Kali Yuga. But then he goes in, he brushed it off in one go. He says, well, offer it and worship Krishna and serve Krishna all day. It's purified in the yagya. But there's certain things you cannot mess around with eggs, fish, and meat. You cannot mess around. That's clear.
Yeah.
That's my answer. But Skala Desha Patra, in India, you guys are fortunate because people are strict, people are less degraded. Many people are veg in India.
Now in everything there's trace of eggs. Even you don't know.
Trace of eggs, I've seen. I go shopping with my wife.
Yeah, trace. Yeah, they said it.
It's mentioned clearly on the pack. This is Rascoldam, huh? This is Rascoldam. So now seasonal fruits, yes, you have to use seasonal fruits in priority. It's the season of the mango, of a mango. You cannot, of course, it goes without saying, reoffer something to Krishna. So here in our house, we have one fridge for Krishna, one fridge for us. Upstairs, I have got a little fridge here next door. It's for the Jiv. And downstairs, it is the fridge for Krishna. So we don't mix. I have a Choto fridge, it's for the Jade. So now, sitting with one's back to the deity. No, of course. Greeting others, praising oneself, being silent in front of gurus. Very interesting. Don't be silent in front of the guru. This is an apparat. This one is not known. You ask question, you try to render service. Guru Maharaj, can I do anything? Can I clean your room? But don't remain silent, inactive, passive. Do something. What
You are referring to nectar of devotion?
Yeah, I'm
Guru,
right.
or like,
Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu.
because
But-
I'm just like I have in front of me nectar of devotion.
Yeah,
So
for
it mentions that one should not offer obeisances to silently to spiritual master, but recite prayers while offering obeisances to spiritual master.
well, here it's translated by Banu Maharaj. You have to check with him. Item 31, being silent in front of Guru.
Okay.
So that's a very good point. Is it badly
Does
translated?
that mean being silent?
Yeah, Prabhupada explains we should not offer obeisances silently to spiritual master, but
Oh,
respect
yeah.
allowed the prayers to the spiritual master while offering obeisances.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
So
Okay.
it's not mentioned there. So
Yeah.
that's another one. I know that. My guru told me personally long back. When you offer Dandavat, the prayers, it should be out loud. It should not be Banasa. That's very true. But I mean, so then he badly translated then, isn't he? Because he wrote 31, being silent in front of Guru. Does it mean what you say? No. What does it say?
It's 29.
It's 31 here.
I think that is I think there's difference in the numbering, I suppose, then.
The next one is criticizing the deity. It's right before that one.
Yeah.
So you
One should
mean
not praise himself before the spiritual master. That is 31. Yeah.
okay? And what do you have next?
One should not deride the demigods before the deity.
Yeah, yeah. So that's 29 here. What does it say about being silent in front of Guru?
Yeah,
I think
one should not
when we
offer
offer
obeisances.
obeisances, we should not do it silently. We should
So
read
then
beside the prayer.
it looks like Banu Maharaj kind of mistranslated then. I have to add it up. Especially when you offer pranam. When you offer pranam. Okay, good to know. Now it's going to draw from Varaha Puran, 32 more. Aparad. Eating a king's food. Eating a king's food. In other words, from one I understand, eating better than the deity. That's what I understand here. How is it listed in your list, Vignesh?
The first one is one should not touch the deity in a dark room. That is the first offense.
I've got that one in number 2. Touching the deity in the dark. Approaching the deity without proper rules. Yes, of course. Opening the deity door without the sound of music or bell. That's important. Now, I don't know if
this I was just like wondering, like I think in ISKCON many of the temples don't have the bell, right?
They should have a bell. It's not expensive to buy a bell.
I don't know.
To buy a bell.
The hanging bell.
You know,
Yeah.
you open the door. I mean,
We have the hand bell.
Yeah,
We always use a bell. Yeah. We don't have the one hanging when you go in the temple, you just put your
that we
hand up.
don't have, right? The main one that the people enter in the door. The
Yeah.
that we don't have in
Yeah,
ISKCON, I
many
suppose.
temple doesn't have it.
In France, in Numayapo, we have something hanging from the ceiling. It's not a bell, but you touch it, and it's like, how do you call it? A chime.
Hmm.
What's the name, Goloka? You know, you just touch it.
Yeah,
It's a chime, and then
yeah,
Yeah.
it sounds something.
yeah. That's what we have in
Yes.
my temple. I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now another thing which is related to that. Let's say you do the routine. There's no one in the temple. It happens sometimes. You have to play music. You know that one? You have to put some music. You cannot do the arati in silence.
Hmm.
Gathering food offerings seen by a dog. Yes, of course. You know the story with in the CC. Can you imagine such a very strict devotee, Raghav Pandit, with the coconut? You know that story, Goloka? Raghav Pandit with the coconut. He used to go very far to buy the best coconut for the Lord. And sometimes, you know, he would wear the coconut on his head. And just by entering his house, if ever the top coconut would touch the ceiling, he would consider it's spoiled. It's not even open, you know. That was his strictness. If even the top coconut would brush something from the ceiling or the door, finish. He would throw the coconut. Very strict. And Mahaprabhu was very pleased with his level. Breaking the silence during worship. That's a good point. You don't speak during the worship, during the arati. Of course, passing. Yeah, this one is heavy. Going to pass stool during the worship. I remember I had a god brother on the day of initiation. Can you imagine? I mean, that's heavy. He was seated like all of us to take his harinam. He was being reinitiated actually by my guru. He had been initiated by Bhagwan. And he said, "Oh, I got to go and pass water." Man, that created such a and my guru never forgave him. Never. It was extremely awkward. He stood up during the initiation to pass water. That's actually he never had a good relationship with my guru. I don't know what was the reason. I think that could be for that, if you ask me. There's certain things which are totally no. Certain things you have to make sure you pass water before the event or whatever. Offering incense without having first offered ganda, garlands, and other items. Yeah, there's the list in the items, as you know. You offer, like you have seen Guru Puja, you offer garland, then you, first of all, you are let's say you are the RT guy for the Ishtadev, Srila Prabhupada. Then make sure, even before you start the puja, make sure he has a garland. You follow?
Yeah.
You cannot start offering, worshipping the Ishtadev if he's not properly decorated. And even some temples you have seen, they put sandalwood, ganda also. But at least garland should be there. Worshipping the deities with forbidden flowers. I mean, within the same frame, offering, that's difficult in France, I know. Offering scentless flowers. They scent nothing. They smell nothing. In India, you're lucky because all the flowers have a good fragrance. But in France, I'm telling you, nothing. They look good even, but nothing. So make sure in the garden, we have a very good gardener, Giri Govardhan Prabhu. He's so expert. He's make sure whatever he plants, they smell something. If it is, even if it is a very simple flower, it should be smelling something. More from Varaha Puran. Worshipping the deity without having brushed one's teeth, goes without saying. A woman, when she has a menses, even after touching a lamp, that's very interesting, I didn't know. You cannot worship a deity. I haven't seen a dead body. You cannot worship. No, regarding the menses, because I know it's a big debate. My wife is very strict. She said, not even, of course, worshiping, I understand, but she said, even not going to the temple. So, I'm not a woman, so perhaps I cannot, perhaps Goloka, you can tell us. What did Prabhupada say? I mean, not worshiping, not doing the arati, I understand that. But not going to the temple, is it true?
It is mentioned in Nectar of Devotion, Prabhu.
Now, here we're talking about worshiping. She cannot go to the temple also.
It is mentioned, like Prabhupada mentions 11 point, one should not enter the temple after touching a woman during her menstrual period.
In that list, you mean?
Yeah, in the Nectar of Devotion, 11th number in the Veda base.
Okay, it's not in that. See, it's not in that list. No. Here it says worshipping after touching a woman who had a menstrual period. Okay. Wearing red cloth, blue cloth, unwashed cloth, soiled cloth, or another person's cloth. Sometimes it happens to me, I forget my cup and I borrow from someone. But of course, I assume that the clothes they give me is clean. Worshipping the deity after seeing a dead body, passing air. After you have been angry, don't worship. Don't worship. After visiting crematorium, you're still having undigested food in the stomach. Worshipping after, that's nonsense. Eating pork, duck, kusumba leaves. I don't know what is kusumba. Hing is asafoetida. Touching the deity after having.
Prabhupada mentions marijuana, ganja, opium.
Oh, I see. What is kusumba? It's a type of leaf. I don't know. Kusumba leaf. Touching the deity after taking an oil bath, oil. These actions lead to hell. Rupa Goswami is heavy. Elsewhere, surrendering to the Lord while disregarding the Vaishnava scriptures. Advocating other scriptures other than Bhakti Shastra. Chewing tambula. Worshipping the Lord with flowers placed on the leaves of the castor oil plant. That oil is forbidden, obviously. You still there, Goloka?
Yes, I'm here.
Worshipping during Asurkal. Asurkal means inauspicious, Ashub. So what does it mean, Vignesh? Because Ashub means at dusk, right? But oftentimes at this time there is Gora Arati or something going on.
Ashubkala.
Like it's called Asurkal. What is inauspicious? I mean, if you worship, how can it be inauspicious? Any light on this one, Goloka?
Oh no, I don't have.
Yeah.
Interestingly, it is not mentioned in the NOD.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is Bhaktira Samrasindu, original one from Banu Maharaj, Sanskrit and English. It's mentioned elsewhere. It's drawing from an elsewhere list. Huh? Worshipping the Lord while sitting on the floor. That's obviously goes without saying. Touching the deity with the left hand while bathing the deity. That's quite heavy. Yeah? So I'm sure when we bathe, you have to remember, don't touch it with your left hand. Worshipping the Lord with withered or flowers obtained by begging. Oh, it's amazing. Sometimes devotees steal the flowers. See, you cannot, if you have gotten the flowers by begging, you cannot offer them. Amazing. Spitting during the worship, being arrogant, wearing horizontal tilak. That's not us. Don't wash your feet, unwashed feet. Offering the food cooked by a non-Vaishnav. Worshipping within the sight of a non-Vaishnav. This one is heavy because obviously, let's say it's Sunday, there's lots of, there may not be all Vaishnavas in the temple room. Worshipping without first worshipping Ganesh. What do you say?
That doesn't apply to us because I heard that because we have guru, we worship to our guru. So
Okay.
those who doesn't have guru, first they have to worship like Ganesh.
So there's a footnote here. Though Devata worship is condemned, no commentator has explained the inclusion of this item. Vignesh refers to Ganesh in most cases. However, Sri Vaishnav substitute worship of Vishvakshana for Ganesh worship.
Yeah.
Satkriya Sar Deepika says to worship Vishvakshana or the four Kumaras instead. Hari Bhaktivilas 617 also mentions Ganesh, Durga, and Sarasvati worship before performing worship without any comment. Or it may refer to the Ganesh with an external servitor in Vikund, not the Ganesh composed of Maya Shakti. Interesting, huh?
Yeah.
So we are talking obviously of the Ganesh who is in Vikund, not the one that we know, made of Maya Shakti. Okay. Worshipping after seeing a tantric. Bathing the deity with water touched by fingernails. Yeah, we should always have cut our nails nicely. Worshipping while perspiring. Yeah, if you are outside, and especially in India, I remember I've seen some mystical happenings and with deity worship. When I was Pujari, by the grace of the Lord, I was in Mayapur. One time we went to this temple, nearby Mayapur, 5-6 kilometers. It's called, what's the name of that village? You find deities of Jagannath, Baladev, Shrimati, Subhadra. You have been there? It's five.
Ekachakra.
No, Akashakra is far. Akashakra is half a day drive. No, Rajapur. You have been, Vignesh. You drive 5-6 kilometers from ISKCON Mayapur up the road. When you go to Calcutta, you don't drive much. There's a temple of Jagannath, Baladev, Shrimati, Subhadra. You've been there?
Yeah, I've been there.
I'm not been there.
It has been donated to ISKCON in 78 or so. Many stories. There's Pankaj wrote a book on those leelas here. Even the Muslim there, they know. They've been knowing for centuries. Be careful. This Jagannath is Allah.
Gananivas Prabhu used to relate a lot of
Oh yeah, Pankaj Angre has written a book, Prabhu.
Yeah, is it?
Oh yeah, it's a tiny booklet like this, but full of
Oh,
nectar. So
that's
now
nice.
I've seen with my own eyes, this story. So I was Pujari in 97, I think. And then that day came, they have oftentimes functions in that temple, Rajapur. It's part of ISKCON. So I forgot the day, which festival. Quite big. We came early morning. Thousands of people come throughout the day. They're being fed. And we were a few pujaris. I don't know if you know Ganga Prabhu. He's very strong. He's Italian
Yeah.
devotee. Is disciple, one of the first disciple of Jayapataka Maharaj. He's been in Mayapur for perhaps 40 years, easy.
Hmm.
So we went to the altar. These deities are very particular. I don't know if you know. The king of Puri came, the head pujari of Puri, can you imagine? Came. He said, those deities are not different from Puri. Then Mahaprabhu took darshan of those deities. Nityananda Prabhu ate the prasad of those deities. They're extremely, extremely special deities. So then, I remember we took the deities off the altar and we brought it next door. There's a lawn there. And we had a makeshift altar for the day so that people can come, pay obeisances, and bathe the deities. So with no problem, not me, but because I was just a new kid on the block, but like the senior seasoned pujari, they carried the deity, brought them on the makeshift temple. Okay, everything went well the whole day, bathing, prasad, long day. At night, way late, 10, 11, Jananivas Prabhu tell, okay, now you please move back the deity to the altar. They've been bathed, they've been dried up. The very same deity, I remember Lord Baladev. He came in the morning like the others. Ganga is a big guy. I don't know if you know him. He takes Baladev. Doesn't move. The very same deity that the morning itself, he moved up here. He cannot lift it. Another one is trying, cannot lift it. So then we tell Majanivas what to do. We say, he doesn't want to be moved. Let's bathe him more. So it's like 10, 11. We are still bathing the Lord. Everyone is gone. Practically, we are only 10 of us or something. And finally, much later in the night, he agreed. He condescended to be shifted back to the original altar. These deities are very special. You can see that this is transcendental lila. They would not let themselves, especially Baladev, remember, he would not let himself move. No way. I want more bathing. So, okay, let's carry on. Elsewhere, many other offenses are listed, such as stepping over the used garlands or flowers, cursing, scolding the deity. It's coming from Narasingha Puran, Vishnu Dharmutta. Now, we know the rest is dealing with Namaparad. We are over with Shiva Parad.
I just had one point regarding this.
Yes,
you mentioned that one should not take a vow in the name of God. Like vow means pledge. Like one shouldn't pledge anything in front of God.
But if you pledge and if you fulfill, it's fine. But if you
okay,
pledge,
but we can, because it mentions one should not take a vow in the name of God.
Yeah, but isn't there a difference between vow and pledge?
I'm not sure exactly what is the difference.
Pledge, for Mana, correct me if I'm wrong. Pledge, there's a financial aspect to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pledge means, I pledge 5 lakhs to build a temple for this deity.
Yeah.
That's pledge. There's a financial connotation. It's money matter.
Okay.
So now it's Maha Aparad if you don't, first of all, you don't deliver the goods, or you change the figure. You know, I don't know if you have been to that temple I was with my brother-in-law. It's an amazing temple. It's in MP or perhaps Rajasthan, because, you know, my wife is from that side. Her village is practically on the border of Rajasthan, MP. So in the early days, her brother, one of her brother, took me to. There's a temple, I forgot the name. It's all made of silver. The temple is in silver. The deities are in silver, and people go there to pledge. It's a very famous temple.
Radha Govinda temple, no?
No, it's not ISKCON temple. It's not the ISKCON temple at all. It's a local temple.
Govind, but
And
in Jaipur?
it's not, it's that side, but it's not Jaipur itself. I will ask her, she knows. I've been there, and people make a pledge and they bargain with the deity. I've seen it. And what they do, they make a deal with the deity. My dear Krishna, I'm about to make a transaction. And if I get the transaction, I'll give you 35 lakhs. So it's an amazing temple, because the Pujari was telling me very often in the morning, he goes to the temple, he sees a car. And on the altar, on the door, he sees the key of the car. So the guy, he has fulfilled his transaction, and he gives a commission to the deity, like he gives a brand new car. So he's going to buy the car and brings the key to the pujari, or sometimes he leaves the key even on the altar. This is my commission. I had told the Lord that if that deal comes through, I will offer a car. The pujari was telling me many of them, they have 3 cars and stuff like that. Amazing. You know, Krishna can be very tricky. You know? I guess this temple is for those who are very fruitive. You know, but it's a common. My wife was telling me it's been going on for centuries. Huh?
Does it do that in Balaji temple in Tirupati also?
Could be.
People
Let me
gave
ask
like
if I
kilos
say,
and kilos of gold.
yeah,
You know, the big
and
businessmen.
the hair and stuff. Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
They offer the hair. So now we're coming to Navaparad. We know those 9, those 10. They are in Padma Puran, actually. So here it's more succinct. First one is, as we know, we recite every morning, Vaishnava Parad. Not only Vaishnava, anyone is engaged into the worship of God, Muslim or whoever, you know, Christians. You correct me if you want to discuss about those. Huh? Considering the names of the demigods equal to or independent of the names of Lord Vishnu. That's obviously very much prevailing in India, or even amongst the Hindu communities. That's Aparad. That's not Pab, that's Aparad. Prabhupada says, even if you separate Go Nitai, that's Pashande. The brother of Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami did that. I don't know if you
What
remember.
about in Gaudiya Math? They have Radha Krishna. Then they have only Lord Chaitanya.
Yeah, that's Aparad. You cannot separate the two. Either it's Go Gadada, that's Raganuk Bhakti, or Vedi would be Go Nitai. Just like, remember in Galta near Jaipur in the 18th century, the Ramanandis in Jaipur, they had been around for a few decades already. They despised the fact that The Gaudiya dare to worship Radha Krishna because in Jaipur in those days even, they were worshipping Radha Govind as directly sculpted, carved by the hand of Rupa Goswami. Those deities had been transferred long back in the 16th century. And then everything went smoothly. After some time, the Ramanandis, they opposed. They said, no way. You cannot. Where is it written that you have to worship Radha Krishna? You worship Krishna alone. And then the kings of Jaipur himself was a Gaudiya, but he didn't have the sufficient philosophical background. So then finally they called upon Vishwanath Chakravarti. He was so old, he sent his disciple Baladev. You know the story, Baladev Vijayabhushan.
Yeah.
And then, to make a long story short, he was confronted. They said, no way, you guys have to stop. And finally, no, we use the Srimad Bhagavatam as a natural commentary of Vedanta Sutra. No. We want to see a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. Only then you can be your own Sampradaya. And finally, he prayed to Lord Govind, and Lord Govind dictated to him Govinda Bhashya. That is why you see in Bhagavad Gita, one of the front page, Prabhupada says, I dedicate this book to
Baladev Vijayabhushan.
This is coming from there. So same story, they were trying to separate Radha Krishna. Let's worship Krishna alone. This is apparent. Guru Avagya, disobeying the Guru, disrespecting the Guru, consider him ordinary man, jealous of the Guru. I can do better. Then Sadhunin is Vaishnava Parad, we discussed. Sadhunin, like Shastra, we are minimizing the Vedas, Srimad Bhagavatam. Thinking Harinam is an exaggeration. Interpreting the holy names. Committing sins on the names of the holy name. Considering that the mantra Hare Krishna is just one of the, philanthropic mantra, or it's part of the Kamakand. It's just a shubh, auspicious ritual, ward of evil or whatever. Teaching the name to the faceless, we have to be careful with that one also. Having no affection to the name, maintaining material attachment even after hearing so many instructions. That's coming from Padma Puran, actually. It's further developed in Hari Bhakti Vilas. So then the next one is 10th canto. Anyone who fails to leave that place immediately where he hears criticisms of the Supreme Lord or his faithful devotee will certainly fall down, bereft of his pious credit. That's very heavy. We should not hear criticism. We should cut the tongue, kill the person, or defeat him philosophically. It's one of the most advanced trait of a Vaishnav is apeshunyam. He's got an aversion to fault finding. And Rupa Goswami says the same in Upadeshamrit, number 5. But what is that verse? Bhajana? Forgetting the verse. If you find someone who is antagonistic to fault finding, you should worship that devotee day and night. You should take instructions from him. He's considered Uttam Bhagwan.
But nowadays, like on internet, because one person committing some child abuse and
Oh, bah.
and one person is posting it all over the internet. And
Yeah, you're referring to Bhakti Japuna Maharaj?
is it offensive just to keep on talking about it? I know people is not
Yeah, I guess you're referring to Bhakti Japuna Maharaj.
him and many others, the international abuse that happened.
Yeah, I remember one story in Mumbai. Prabhupada did say that. I mean, I was not the devotee, but it's so very famous. In Mumbai, they know it. In Juhu. There was one sannyasi, he had a slight skirmish, we say in English. Little skirmish with a lady. I think perhaps he tried to grope her or something. And of course, and she made a major fuss, major. Because in those days, there was no internet, but one way or the other, she spread it like wildfire. It came to the notice of Srila Prabhupada. And he told her, you made his return very difficult. Because it doesn't mean he was not at fault. Of course he was at fault, but that should have been treated discreetly. You step down from sannyas, whatever, but you don't spread it out like wildfire.
But nowadays people are saying that because management is not doing anything or so they have to let everybody knows, and they really like.
Yeah, I understand, but washing dirty laundry in public is never, it's not a good system. Just like Mohan Bhagavan left here in 86 in France. One guy, I don't want to mention his name, he's still alive. He went straight to the media press, Goloka, and he just reported, all Guru left with one woman and so much money. What kind of nonsense? You are spilling the beans to meat eaters. He made it worse. You know what I'm saying? You don't wash your.
I personally feel, we don't, we don't justify whatever abusing. It should be dealt nowadays. It just people doesn't need to know about it.
Exactly.
They are reading about it because of the media, because of social.
Exactly. You dealt with it
social media
firmly, but discreetly.
Me, I just don't pay attention now because it's so disturbing. Every time you read such thing, it's just very disturbing to the mind. What about a new person who want to become Krishna consciousness?
Exactly.
He can immediately lose his faith,
Exactly.
I'm thinking it's just a disservice, they're doing.
Yeah, I fully agree.
Yeah. And a lot of such issues, especially because of social media today. Devotees who are not very much positive towards ISKCON or who has the ex-ISKCON, they normally have some kind of things to talk on various matters of, maybe, some fall down of some guru or maybe book changes or on various topics, and they then
Sometimes
spread
they
it like a
exaggerate.
wildfire.
Sometimes it has the opposite effect. I remember when I joined in 85, Bhagavan left in 86. So, I just joined practically.
Bhagavan was my guru.
Yeah, he made me join, but he didn't initiate me. He fell down right before. Anyway, to make a long story short, already he had some God brothers quite against him, very much. They wanted to kill him. So I won't mention names, but very shortly when he fell down in September 86, I think. At least everyone knew, the top leaders knew at least for a year, but the rank and file devotees like us, we didn't know. And shortly after the news started circulating, there's one godbrother of Prabhupada, of Bhagavan, sorry, Prabhupada disciple. He came and he was kind of you know, he was kind of throwing his poison. I told you he was a rascal, and I remember the TP. I was very impressed. He just was kicking his butt. You know, he was kicking his butt. All through we had in those days Krishnaville. It's a big chateau. We lost it now. It was a big courtyard. He says, "You get out of here." He was kicking his butt. I don't want to see your face. And I was a brand new guy, and I got very impressed. I said, "Wow, this one has got guts." You know, it was, you know, on the contrary, I was very impressed by the courage of this TP. He would not take it, he would not go into the sense of that devotee, you know. Yes, he fell down, he's a rascal. He had some dignity. He kicked him out physically in the butt. You get out of here. And for me, I remember as a brand new guy, that kind of made me very more determined to stay. Because he showed some courage, you know. And I was thinking, wow, he's got some willpower. He doesn't, you know, stoop down to that lowly poisoning that the other was trying to throw everywhere, you know, in everyone's ears. So sometimes it's courage it pays off, you know. It pays off. So you're right, Goloka. We should not make it public.
Yeah, but actually, everybody will do whatever they want to do. You know, it just is so unfortunate. You know, like
Very unfortunate.
recently, you know, something came up. I think I was talking to my daughter. She was telling me she got so disturbed all night. She couldn't sleep. Like the whole thing.
All these things, it's very discreet. It's very embarrassing. That should be dealt with leaders or specialized devotees dealing with child abuse and stuff. Even the thing of what's his name, Bhaktivedanta Purnamara, that's long back. I was in Mayapur in those days.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
that's way back.
something
I
that
mean,
happened like
you're talking
years
about
ago.
2004.
Yeah, they're
Imagine.
reviving it again. You know,
It's coming out now, but the occurrence is at least 15-year old. So, you know, it's a very tricky situation because in the meantime, perhaps he redeemed himself. I don't know. I don't want to put words in his mouth.
Yeah, I know something that happened like almost 40 years ago or something. People are reviving it.
Yeah, because what happened with Bhaktivedanta Purnamara, it just came out recently. You know, because that girl, I know the girl, Shurade, I know her well. I was 10 years in Mayapur. She spoke out recently. She was keeping it in her heart for 10, 15 years. And now she wrote. But she should have done it long back when it was fresh. Now it's kind of, it's like you're watching a movie in slow motion, you know? And the whole world get to know, but it's very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Of course, you may say also it reoccurred a few times. 2004 or 5 was the last time, but prior to that, he had been already warned by the GBC way back in the late 90s or something.
And as these people who were not supporting him, who were not trying to make it a big deal, just deal with it, you know, like internally. They are blamed too because they didn't make it public.
Yeah, I've got the testimony of Priya Radhe. I didn't circulate it, of course, but I've got her own testimony. No, definitely what he did is totally beyond norms. And of course, he has to step down. But what I'm saying is
Isn't you committing offenses to devotee like that?
Well, as I
by
said,
hearing about it, by talking or.
Well, at the same time, it's a very sensitive issue because at the same time, you cannot just put things under the carpet. You know, that was also
Yeah.
an ISKCON tendency way back. 30, 40 years, 50 years ago, even sannyas would fall down and there would be so much cover up. That's also bad, because so as I said, I would say the final line is that should be dealt with seasoned devotees who are specialized. That is their service, Let's say you're part of justice, you are a child psychologist. Yes, you have to poke your nose. But I mean, otherwise, you just read about it, and what can you do, at your level to change the... It's unfortunate.
I think personally, from our side at a personal level, we should not try to be very. I think it's one thing is that we should try to, we should apply the rules like where it is there. We should definitely, for the sake of organization, it is important to separate such people. But I think we shouldn't be very much in our mind. We shouldn't try to, be blaspheming in our mood for such devotees.
Yeah.
Because I think I remember like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that sadhu revasa mantavya. Even such devotees who may have done something like on those lines, still they are Vaishnavas, right? And even if we cultivate that blaming mentality, I think that will still be sadhu ninda.
Yeah. It's a very good point. There's another verse back to back in the 11th canto.
Apiche sadurachara.
Yeah, that's
Sadurachara,
930, but in the Bhagavatam also, there's another couple of verses back to back. It says, Jato Shraddha Kamasu, Krishna Kata Kamasu. And there it says, even Krishna is telling, is advocating to Uddhav, yes, this may happen. And the prerogative that he gives in that verse is that first there should be repentance, major repentance. And if he carries on, just like 930, if he carries on worshipping me and listening to my kata, and again, not stopping his practice, that will go away. That will go away. But as I said, it's only normal that he has to step down from dealing with any children. That's what goes without saying.
Yeah.
There's also cases where devotees had difficulty and they advocated. In private, Prabhu, I had to fall down. I cannot obviously carry on like this. You should know. So that's honesty. There have been cases like this. I know one devotee, he fell down from sannyas, and he was told, "Please keep quiet. I'll cover it up naturally." He said, "No." He refused. So you have to case by case.
Yeah.
It's nothing new, as soon as you declare war against Maya, it's not only in our ISKCON, there will be casualty, there will be dead, there will be wounded.
Yeah.
Nothing new. Even Narari Sarkar in the 16th century, he has written a book just on this issue, how to deal with fallen guru. He wrote the book. Narari Sarkar. Narari Sarkar was a contemporary of Mahaprabhu. He was the Shiksha Guru of Srinivasacharya. He wrote a book on that. So even in those days, nothing new.
I think there were some devotees in our history, right, who had such past which was not a very saintly. Like Bilomangal Thakur was one example, and then some other devotees like Chandidas, I suppose. But later they become a very great devotee.
Yeah. Well, it's a bit like the principle of Peter, I don't know if you know this principle in management. You know this principle of Peter?
Bitter.
Peter, like Peter, Peter.
Peter
the-
principle.
Yeah.
The Peter principle.
Yeah. The animal cruelty thing, eh?
No, it's a management principle. Even my father gave me the book perhaps 50 years ago. I've got a book on this one. It's a management principle. You should not accept a position for which you know fully well you're not qualified. You know, let's say you tell me, Madam Vendra, please, you're in charge of the kitchen. I'm sorry, Prabhu, but I'm not qualified. You have the right to refuse if you're not qualified. And on the other side, also, it's true. On the management side, don't give a position to someone for which you know the person is not qualified. But it's, of course, it's easy to say, but you know, let's say you have a fall down, you start on a good note, and then 20 years down the road, you become weak. You don't want to tell everyone, and you remain in your position, and gradually it gets worse, it gets worse, it gets worse, and gradually it's exposed. You know, it's like that. You know, I would say, especially with children, it's there's certain gravity of it. You know, you go back, you steal 1 lakh rupees or $1 lakh, that's bad. But you molest a girl or a child, that's the gravity should not be the same. I mean, the what do you call it? The punishment should not be the same. It's a different degree. Different degree. But again, it should be dealt with in private. You're right. There's no need to tell everyone.
But at the same time, so we can say, give our opinion, we're not supposed to do like that, and people will do whatever they want to do. So we can control also.
Sorry, I didn't get it. Go ahead again.
We cannot control whatever people opinion or whatever they want to do. You know, we, personally, we should not do it. You
Yeah.
know, but people will do whatever they want to do. You know.
Yeah, and ISKCON should take action. I mean, I've been hearing also that ISKCON is weak in taking action or soft because they are there. You know, oftentimes they are on a peer social equal level with those persons. You know, they are their god brothers even. So you know, it's like your god brother is having a difficulty. You know him for 50 years. So, but this is the role of leadership. When it happens to Kishori, I don't know if you know her. She's still alive. Huh? She's born in 43. Can you imagine? She's going to be 80. She's 80. I mean, this year she's going to be 80.
That your Prabhupada disciple.
Yeah, she's Malati said. She said she's the person in ISKCON world who spend in terms of female, who spend the most time of his Prabhupada on earth. In terms of ISKCON life. Huh? She's still alive. She lives not far. And as you know, she had quite a few children. And she told me the story when her children got abused in ISKCON Dallas 72. She didn't know. And Prabhupada told her, you please send your boys there. She was in Vrindavan, and then she was so much in tears that she took the train all the way to Mumbai, Juhu, and Prabhupada was having a top meeting, you know, GBC, and when he saw her coming from the stairs, he stopped everything, and he could see on her face she's a mother, I can imagine. She was totally traumatized, and Prabhupada said, "You speak." And she told the news, she's flat news, my boys are being abused in this Dallas. Prabhupada was so much enraged, he said, we have to hang them. And then Tamal Krishna Maharaj started to speak, well, you know, she's a woman. He just cut him short, and because of you nonsense, because leaders don't take action, you are so lenient. It was so heavy. She had, can you imagine? She had the Viscondelas closed down because of her. Papa said, yes, I'll close it down. He said, we have to hang them. They are children from Vekunta. We have to hang those prosecutors, those perpetrators. It was very, very, very heavy. So we cannot just, tell the philosophy, well, the appetite to the shadow. It's all, we have to, it's case by case. When it comes to children, there's no question of. Papa said when they were building the blueprint of Mayapur, he said, where's the jail? Where's the jail? Papa said, we need a jail. There will be criminals. He already knew. Where's the jail? He was asking, where are you going to put the jail? So this is human nature.
Yeah, I think it's the duty of leaders take the step, like.
If you don't take actions, if you don't take actions, it's going to undermine the face of the newbies, the newcomers. Like I was very impressed again in 85, 86 when that TP took action on that poison serpent. I was very, on the contrary, I was very impressed. I remember as a new devotee, I was impressed. Wow, this person has guts. I could see he's taking action. Anyway, it's a long debate. But I mean,
this is a very severe, like, thing going on. That's why he doesn't know mind. Anyway.
If you don't take action, it's going to dilute the leadership, and people will lose their faith.
Ultimately, there is a reason why people will then start speaking in social media. If they don't get their satisfactory response, then they'll start speaking on shouting on social media.
Otherwise, don't be a leader. If you are too soft, okay, great. Be a Brahmin, teach, but don't be a leader. Leader means Kshatriya. You have to be heavy. But of course, in a Vaishnav way, in Latin we say ad hominem. It's a nice Latin expression.
That is also complicated. Also, like the leader, according to him, he did the best he can. But according to the other people's opinions, they're supposed to do this and this and this. There was not a set rule in ISKCON. If that thing happened, what the leader is supposed to do.
Yeah, it's a brand new movement. So
it just
they didn't expect that.
Yeah.
30 years ago, even Prabhupada in the beginning didn't expect that sannyas would fall down. Then he started to talk about Vanashram because he didn't expect. Then the first sannyas fell down in 81. Oh, then he goes, I think we should do Vanashram now. Even he himself has had to readjust.
Yeah.
But the main thing is ad hominem. In Latin, we say we are not against the person. That's nasty. We are against the fall down principle. Yes. We're not trampled on the person.
Most of the people are attacking the person himself.
Yeah, that ad hominem means against
and that involves the family of that person and everything that is connected to that person.
Yeah. We're not against the jiv, because we are sick. But on the principle, we have to address the principle. Like the Christ used to say, we're not against the sinner, we're against the sin.
It is very unfortunate. I don't know.
Very unfortunate. Very unfortunate, especially when you're a leader, Don't take leadership if you are still... Yeah, and I think it's bound to happen. We are a new movement. Thomas Hopkins, I don't know if you know him. He was close to Prabhupada. He was a PhD. I don't know if he's still alive.
Yeah, it's not only in ISKCON, in all organizations like the Catholic, there has so much the same thing happening. In Catholic, you know.
Thomas Hopkins used to say it takes 150 years to set up a monotheistic religion. It takes 150 years.
Yeah, in the Catholic Church, you always heard so many things happen in so many other church. It just this thing happening all over, you know, in other organization too.
Yeah. And not only yesterday, it's for centuries.
Yeah.
We are dealing with hospital. We're dealing with patients. They're having relapses. That's why let's not take big position if we are weak spiritually. You do your things on your, do your practice and don't make waves and practice. And as soon as you step into leadership, it's heavy. Reactions are much worse, much worse. Prabhupada said GBC reactions are heavy, 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 heavy. Heavy reactions if you fool around as a GBC. Just like if you perform, if you do PAP in Vrindavan, it's much worse than if you do PAP in Paris. Very simple to understand. Prabhupada saying, you make more advancement if you chant one round in Vrindavan, but also the reaction of two offense is worse. Mayapur, Vrindavan. Mayapur less because it's merciful. But it's like that, you know. Kaladisha Patra. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, so Chandra will do the rest, and chapter 9, I believe, onwards.
So we're not having question for each chapter, like the
But
devotion.
this one, you know, I mean, what kind of question can I give on this one? Chapter 8, you know,
Like in the
I
previous,
just told you, by the way, I told you, but you didn't even, you could have, did you have any occurrence yourself to have some difficulty with a particular principle or a parad, and how did you come out of it? And could have shared with that. I don't know if you got the homework. It was along those lines. Did you get it?
Yeah, I checked that out. I thought maybe I'll speak it like on the lecture because it was just one mail that you
Yeah,
sent.
I mean, you could have shared, or I could have shared. Of course, it's quite intimate.
Yeah, at least I remember, like, for me, like earlier when I was not like into the movement, normally in India there are a lot of temples, you know, on the roadside. And
Yeah.
when we just move out from there, normally we have the habit, I used to have the habit to just do it with one hand, you know, worship with the one hand. So I think that I learned later when I understood that it's also an offense. So now I do with both the hands.
This is very
Like
minor.
once
Yeah.
I remember, especially in India, it's quite common. Anywhere you see not just the deity of Lord, but like demigods as well. So I think I make sure that I do that, follow that anyway.
Yeah, for you are so pure. This is very minor thing.
No, of course there's so many other things, but I'm just saying this is the one thing that strikes me.
There's in the story of what's his name? Do you know the elephant in the 8th canto? What is the name of the elephant in the
Gajendra.
Gajendra Moksha.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. Prabhupada says, we'll finish with that. As you know, they fought for years, I believe. And the alligator being an animal of the water, he was in good elements. That was his element. He would, first of all, he knows how to swim. He feels at ease in the water. Plus, he was feeding himself off the leg of the elephant. So he was getting nourishment, and he was in his own element. Prabhupada gives the example, the elephant was stronger, certainly, but not in his element. Who won? Who won the fight?
I think the elephant was in a bad situation because he was not
in his, but who won the fight? The crocodile won the fight.
Yeah.
Of course, you may say Krishna, he called upon Vishnu, beheaded him, but Prabhupada, right in the purport, beautifully says, You have to be in your element in Krishna consciousness. Be in your element. You need to marry. Don't do things half-heartedly, one step, one foot in Grihastha, one foot in Brahmachari. Marry. Be in your element, whatever it takes. That sannyas fell down in 81, the first sannyas. He was so ashamed, he sent back the danda in the post. Prabhupada told the devotee, go get him. And he told him, be in your element. Marry, carry on. Don't stop here. Be in your element, you marry. And then he left the world a few years ago in full glory. Be in your element. This is beautiful saying, beautiful point. We have to be in our element. You're attached to women, okay, just stay with your wife until 70, 75. So what? At least you practice. At least you are well situated. You cannot take sannyas, no problem. This is the point of this purport, Gajendra Moksha. Be in your element. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Babu. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna.